Hello. Hello.
ये आवाज कहाँ से नहीं आ रही है? आप भी तो ले रहे हैं।
Hello.
Hello, are you able to hear me now? Okay. Santa, are you able to hear me now? Now it's still no?
Hello. Can you please repeat this voice?
What about the rest? Can you please confirm? Are you able to hear me now?
Is it little loudly?
Yes.
Now it's audible.
Okay, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just coming again to this particular screen. So what is Angular? The Angular is just a binding framework which sits between the HTML UA and the JavaScript object. Say for example, in the HTML UA, you will be having only the controls like what is the name of your, what is the employee name or age or salary name. So those details, only the controls and that are there will be displayed on the HTML UA. So in case of JavaScript object, you will be having a plain object like the place where you store the data what the user actually typed into the screen, right? So that's what the Angular is actually binding the HTML UA content, HTML UA data with the JavaScript object. Okay. So in case we have, for example, if I'm saying that you have you have a class called employee in which where you have entered the age and everything and all, right? So those parameters will be automatically mapped to the HTML. So, it's actually the main purpose of the Angular is actually binding. So the binding framework. So the binding can happen in one-way binding or two-way binding. Either you can control the data from the UI, okay. So that what the data that you enter in the HTML that are directly mapped to the JavaScript object, and also whatever the changes that you do in the JavaScript object also get reflected in the HTML. So that's a So, that's the primary benefit of using Angular. See here, when any request that comes from the Angular, right? So when it comes to the JavaScript object, so it actually converting that particular UA information to the as an object. So likewise, it's a primary thing. Yeah. So what is Angular? So Angular is actually So Angular is actually a open source web application framework. Okay, so this will be the aim of this particular Angular is actually to simplify the development and testing to bring out the challenges that facing in the single page applications or the data mapping issues that are there. So even before coming Angular, there are a lot of such binding issues happens with the jQuery and other things and also. So the primary goal of this particular Angular is to simplify the development and testing issues to provide an MVC application, to provide MVC architecture applications, right? So and also that one more advantage over here is like a parallel development. So typically like the Angular actually segregates the development from the server development and the client-side development. So server-side development is completely taken care by the other set of team, and also the client-side development. This particular thing can happen parallelly in the client side, so that the parallel development can happen in Angular. Yeah, that's what I already told you, right? So it implements the MVC pattern. So in jQuery and other Node.js and other Jones.js and everything and all, right? So you do not have any MVC pattern. So where you have to manage all the information, all the objects. It's a plain hierarchy of objects. It's a complete set of objects will be there in the jQuery. So those set of object has to be mapped with the UA in case of jQuery and other things and all. But in case of Angular, right, it's a completely MVC pattern. So where you can have your UA separate, then you have model separate, then binding separate. So everything will be in MVC pattern. So it will be quite it will be quite easy to maintain the core after that. So as it is implements the MVC pattern. Yeah. So Angular is the right choice for single page applications and data writing. So I already mentioned that, right, in the data binding we have took three features over there, like so whatever the content, whatever the data that is supplied in the HTML, and also in the whatever the data that is supplied in the HTML, also it reaches to the JavaScript object, right? So the binding is typically is improved over here, like so there is one-way binding and also two-way binding. So both the sides you can do that. What are the changes that you do in the HTML, it can also be reflected in the JavaScript, and also what are the changes that you do in the JavaScript, it can also be reflected into the HTML. So what new in Angular 2 is like basically the TypeScript has been introduced over here. Like so before TypeScript, it's really hard for the people who do client-side development. People who are actually coming from C# and Java background does not have much experience in writing client-side programming. So that, but considering those sort of things, TypeScript has been introduced, and also that so you will be having plenty of interesting features like doing get engine interface and other sort of things. So TypeScript is major important thing in Angular 2, and also that improve the data binding in Angular 2. Rather than in comparing in Angular 1, the data binding you have to remember all the syntaxes that are there to make the data binding. But in case of Angular 2, that is simply you can have only two or three syntaxes like square bracket or to do single binding or dual binding. So it's all a matter of the improvised data binding specs over here. And also it also supports for the mobile framework over here. So and also that the logging facility and the routing concepts. I'm not going to get into the detail of each and everything over here. So the idea of this particular session is to get started with that. What is exactly is there, how we can get started with the basic application. Yes, sir. So and also that comparing to the Angular 1, you will be having plenty of experience in plenty of good things in routing and also in directing. So in all the areas, comparing Angular 1, you will be seeing a lot of differences. You will be a lot of interesting features in Angular. Yes. This is what, right? So, but in case of Angular 1, right? So you do not have any prerequisites. You can simply create a project and mm, create a HTML page and you can start doing simply. You can start doing coding by simply routing the appropriate packages. But this is not the case in this is not the case for the Angular 2. So the Angular 2, there are a lot of prerequisites there, but it definitely uh, helps you to write a better program over here. Like for example, you have to install the TypeScript content, TypeScript into your PC, and loaders, shims and polyfills, reflect data, and zone CS. So before creating a basic program into that, you should have at least get to know what exactly these things are. So I'm going to have a glance. I'm going to tell you a glance on the TypeScript and everything and all. So I'm not going to detail everything. So so primarily, the TypeScript and streams and polyfills and Node.js. Node.js is a complete ecosystem over here. So this will actually be used to get your JavaScript open source package from all across all the world. So this is completely a central point for here to get all the required data. So these are the prerequisites to select actually. So let's see what exactly the prerequisites of each and every. We'll have a glance on these set of items. So TypeScript is actually a superset of JavaScript. Say for example, I already mentioned so TypeScript is actually invented for the people who are actually coming from the C# or Java framework, Java background. So those people who are very much used to with inheritance and polymorphism and other set of features, writing class and all. But in case of jQuery or JavaScript, you do not have any facility to write your class and everything. Only with doing functions and everything, you have to manage with that. So by considering all those things, the TypeScript has been invented. The TypeScript has been official thing for the Angular 2. So that is why the TypeScript is invented. So here actually, so TypeScript is not going to be anything. Only that you can do your own code. Like for example, if you are creating a particular class as you do in Java or C#. So once you hit the save button, it automatically converts that particular content into a plain JavaScript file. Okay, so it transfers your TypeScript into a plain JavaScript file. Okay, so it's actually a superset of JavaScript. At the end of the day, whatever the code that you do in TypeScript is JavaScript code. So it compares to your plain JavaScript. Yeah, that's what the developers who from C# on background can really enjoy that. They by considering those people's pain in writing, because people from server side definitely feel hard to write client side programs, right? So for that, this TypeScript will really help them. So when you can do class, properties, and interface, everything you can do. So completely, it's a sugarcoating language. It's a sugarcoating language. But even once you write the code, you can simply show. You can simply click and find the show all files. You can find that JavaScript file. You can find the JavaScript file. So whatever the code that you type in the TypeScript, it's automatically converted into a plain JavaScript. Let me anyways I will show you in the code, right? That time you will be getting a good idea. So it generates JavaScript on every save that you do in the TypeScript. So Node.js, right? So Node.js is a complete ecosystem of open source libraries. So there are a lot of frameworks will be coming in every day. So we did not able to find out, right? We have to go on each and every framework and get it installed, right? So there are no such common ecosystem or that to get the packages installed in your project, right? So that's where the Node.js actually comes from. So Node.js is having a command prompt as like the command prompt, where you can download all your files, where you can download all the JavaScript package files like Angular, jQuery, Require, Knockout, whatever you want. So it helps to get any JavaScript package via the Node.js command prompt. Anyway, let me show you in the samples. So although that the Node.js helps you to run your JavaScript code outside the browser. It's not that actually it runs your JavaScript code only in the browser. So actually nowadays with the help of Node.js command prompt, you can compile your JavaScript code from the command prompt. So then other prerequisite is metadata, reflect metadata. Reflect metadata is quite common feature in C Sharp and Java. Like in other ways you can say that it's a decorators. So it's a decorators that you can that it is sit over the top of any class. Say for example in C Sharp you remember that everyone is used to mention like serializable or obsolete decorator over the class. So it's actually metadata. So it's actually metadata tells to the compiler like this particular method is obsolete. So likewise, the same set of feature has been implemented in the Angular 2 as well. So it can be attached to the methods and classes. The decorator is simply a thing, it can be attached to methods and classes. The same thing has been implemented in Angular 2 as well, right? So even in any TypeScript, even in any class that you create in the TypeScript, you can simply decorate your method and class. Uh, there are plenty of examples is there. I will show you how we can do that. So the consumers can actually read this data and act it accordingly. So what is Simpson polyfills? So Simpson polyfills like it's kind of like it helps you to fill the gap. So for example, it's a traditional in the even as depicts in the picture, right? So there are some cracks you can find in the walls or the roads, right? The way how they are actually filling it. So that fill actually makes the wall or road easier to move on, right? So that's what. So here actually in previous things, whatever the new syntax that you type in the old browser will not support it, right? So even for example, many of them having Internet Explorer browsers, right? So where they support only ECMA 5 versions. Right? So in that case, if you type anything which is ECMA 6, it will not support. It will not support. So for that, actually, to avoid that particular gaps and everything, the polyfill comes into picture. So the polyfill actually hits a polyfill. Once you get installed this particular polyfills, even you run your old browser, the new ECMA 6 syntax will run over there. So it helps you to fill the gaps. Okay. So of course that it mentioned over here like ECMA 6 syntax not supported on ECMA browser. But if you run that particular polyfill, that is a 4JS, the 4JS is the one is actually having the Simpson polyfill. If you run that particular package, you are install this particular package, you can able to have this particular ECMA 6, 6 syntax run in the old browser itself. Yeah, of course, at the end of the day, it fills the gap between two JS versions, ECMA 5 and ECMA 6. So the final one is the loaders and JS, right? So loaders and JS, it's simply your demand. It's unnecessarily loading the huge set of files in the initial launch of the product is completely avoided over here. So whenever the particular file is actually needed, so the load JS whenever um, whenever you want to load this particular file, the load is actually load that particular period of time. It's not that it's loaded at the beginning of time itself, right? Okay. So zone CS is actually the single execution context across the asynchronous calls. So whatever the calls that you make, even the asynchronous or synchronous calls in particular execution context, without zone JS, you could not able to figure out like so even you run sync calls and asynchronous call, this different execution context will be implemented. So with the help of zone JS, this sort of things will be avoided out here. Okay. So now let's move to the project, like how we can set up and do that actually. Okay. So the first set actually we need to create the project. Let me get into the project so that you can easily find out. As it mentioned over here, like let's create the project, then the folder structure, and then we'll define the view model and install the required packages. As we said, that a lot of prerequisites is there in Angular 2. Then we'll define the component and decorators, so the modules and everything. to the exhibition. So these are all the steps that I will be showing you how we can make it out. It's with it's taking too much time in initializing the templates. Just give me a 10 to 20 seconds time. So as you create any project, basic project, as like that, we have to select the web category and also select in this ASP.NET web application. So you have to use the name of that application. So for this, actually, I'm going to select the empty template. Just give me 10 seconds to load this particular project. It's taking more time than usual. Yeah. So the project has been created. I'm going to create a simple UA, okay? A simple basic HTML page. Say employee.html. So image, I'm going to create a 2-3 controls. So I have just created a basic for HTML UA. Okay. After that, I'm going to create the folder structure. So as I said, the Angular works in an MVC pattern. So I'm going to create 3 different folders. One is the UA, one is model, finally some binder. So I'm going to track this particular thing like that. So I have completed the HTML part, but now we are going to see how we can create a plain JavaScript object. So that comes into the model, right? So the model is the one actually giving the data to the UA, right? So by considering time and everything, I'm not going to type all the codes. So just copy paste. So here actually the employee class will be created. So for that, I hope you know that syntax for the in the types reply. So you can normally create a class as like you do in C# and Java. Only thing you need to mention like if you want to export this particular class to the outside world, then you have to use export keyword into that. Okay. So I've actually created 3 different variables: employee name, employee code, and employee salary. Okay. So once I done that, so now I have created HTML and model. Now it's time to install the prerequisite. Right? I already mentioned that so with the help of Node.js, we need to install the chims and everything, and also reflect metadata. So those sort of packages has to be installed. Even the Angular 2 package has to get installed. So far I haven't get installed. Okay. So for that actually you have to create a package.json. So whatever the content that you place in the package.json will get installed for your project. Okay. So as usual, I'm going to copy it from there. So it's just so these are the set of things I'm going to install for this particular project. Say Angular 4, Angular Forms, HTTP, and everything, right? Then we need to create other set of files as well. This one. Then type this. So just notice, just remember that what things are I'm actually placing this. We don't need to consider all these parameters in data as of now. The final one is the system.js. So you can find that like in the package.json. So I have listed also what are the dependencies actually needed for this particular project. Okay. So once we declare that, no, I think we can go node.js. Please take this particular path. So before installing it, right, I think it's better to close your Visual Studio. Because there is an open issue like by when you install the things, when you it is open, there are some small conflicts that I could experience. That's why I recommend you guys to close this particular Visual Studio. And that one, so you can find like so this was the project. So this is the package.json. Okay. So the Node.js will actually we need one second. We'll get into this thing. Okay. So if I do that npm install, so what it actually does is the Node.js will look for package.json file from this particular part. It actually searches the package.json file. So as I already showed you, right? So once he finds a package.json file, he looks into all the parameters that actually required for the project and get it installed. Give 10 seconds of time. I think it should get started. Let's see. So you can find that, right, what are the dependencies that you have mentioned in the package or JSON, say Angular core or core.js and streams, reflect matter. So all the JavaScript packages will get installed. So only then we could be able to start our project. Not only that it looks the package or JSON, also you can find that some installation happens for the typings.json as well. So in the next it will write this particular file, read this particular file and get it installed. So Heartbeat will require 1 minute to get installed everything. So kindly bear me other 20 or 30 seconds. Yes, it's getting almost completed. Now very few things are included. So the idea of showing this particular thing is you will get a feel like how things has to get installed, right? So as I said, no, you can find the typings installed. Yeah, the whole thing get installed in your for your project. So you can find that node underscore modules. So the node underscore modules where you can find all the files required for the Angular code. Okay, by executing. So again, I'm repeating like so you have to fill the package of JSON. Okay, that's what you need to do. Once you fill the package of JSON, okay, you can open your node.js command prompt and enter npm install. With that, we have to traverse to the location where you need the package JSON is actually sits. So once you do that, Node.js actually looks at particular package of JSON and find out all the dependencies you require and install in your PC. Okay, now you can open this particular project. Yeah. So if you click the show all files over here, you can find the node underscore modules. See, all the files, whatever you want, Angular, you can see that code, forms, HTTP, browser related. So whatever the files which are actually required for Angular will be separated. And also that I mentioned like core.js, where polyfill and shims will sit upon. I guess you can go through that. So whatever you can mention in the package.json, it will get installed into your underscore node underscore module. So I recommend you guys not to include this particular project. And also that as soon as you install it, that is, we have everything in your project, I recommend you to exclude this particular from your project. Okay, package.json is not required anymore. Okay, so it will be excluded from your project list. So, so now we have done copying all the contents into your project. Now we have to, it's time to move upon creating the components and everything, right? Okay. Okay. So before getting to the component, I just want to tell you like what is a component. The component is again it sits up between your HTML UA and the JavaScript object. So it helps you to map your UA with the JavaScript object. Okay. So that's what it is. So but that it's again it's a binder, right? So it's actually binds your HTML with the JavaScript object. So I'm going to create a other TypeScript file. So basically a TypeScript file. So I'm going to create an employee component. So okay. So again I'm not going to type and taking more time in there. So I'm just showing you. Yeah. So here actually I have created the component, okay, the employee component. So in the employee component, you can find that I have exposed one object, employee object, okay. So this object is this object is actually holding your employee model object, okay. So what I'm trying to say here is like through the employee component, we are going to expose the model employee. See, we hope you remember that we have already created a class called employee where you can see that employee name, employee for employee salary, right? So this thing has to be exposed to the UA, right? So for that we are exposing this particular content through a component. So for that I have created a component. So yeah, for class components, so you are actually making, for example, for the C Sharp and Java because you can think export as a public. So here you are exposing your employee object to the employee component. So this component will be primarily responsible for exposing one or two models. As of now, I'm actually exposing only one, that is employee. Okay, you can do for any customer or anything, whatever you want according to your project requirement. Okay, so then, so after that, it's one more important thing over here is like you have to import your component. So for every operation, for everything that you do, you have to import your Angular core component. So that you have to import component from Angular core. So that you are actually bringing into your project. After that, you have to import your. So that is actually sits up between model employee. So this is what the thing. So for that, actually, you need to. As of now, you are sitting here. You have to refer this particular file. Finding the model folder and then you are referring it. Are you able to hear me now? I could able to see a notification like audio connection is slow. Okay. So I'm going to create another HTML page. It's a master page. Okay. So you are just simply creating a tag into the master page. And the idea is here like this is the master page. You are going to place all your content, what you're actually selecting over there, right? Sorry. So we are going to select this particular component, okay, the employee component. That employee component is actually referring employee object, and selecting this particular component and placing into the employee UA tag, okay, through the URL, template URL employee.html. So through the employee.html, like, so this is a set of data, this is a set of UA controls, like with this, by taking all these controls, by getting the data from the component and UA content from the employee HTML, we are going to load it over here. Okay, finally we are going to refer only the master page. So this will take it everything and load it over here. Okay. So that's what. So here actually this is a decorator, as we said earlier, right? In the C sharp we used to put it like something like serializable or obsolete or something like that over above the method, right? Above the method or the class, right? See, as like that in Angular we are doing something like decorators as in the form of at component. At the component we can select so this particular component and selecting placing into the employee UA, then the template URL, using the template URL. Okay, so now we have done the employee component, and the next step we have to go into the next step we have to create an employee module library. I will tell you why it is actually okay. So now before that we have placed that, we have exposed that employee object to the employee component, right? One component can have multiple models, right? Okay, but as I said that one module library can have many different components. So your project will be having a different set of components, right? One is for example login component or authenticate. One other thing is authorization component, and those sort of things. Like in authorization component, you will be having a different modules, right? So that's what. So we are going to segregate that. So this is one layer above to the employee component. So I have created like employee, sorry, let's go back. Finally, copy the code and paste it. Okay. So now I have created the, actually the same we did for employee component. We have created the employee module library. So employee module library, before creating that, we need to refer the various packages, Angular core, Angular browser, then employee component, right? So this guy has to refer the employee component, right? So this guy has to refer the model. So this guy has to refer the library, right? Yeah, let me say. So this employee component guy has to refer the employee, right? So this employee model library has to refer the employee component, because one module can have multiple components, right? So that I have actually referring one component named employee component. Okay. So in that actually I'm going to refer like these are the components, and then I'm actually mentioning in the ng model. So browser module. So what are the browser modules that are there for Angular 2? Please import it, and also the forms module to show everything. What are the modules that actually support for forms? Please import it. And the declaration part, we can mention like employee content and content. So declaration part like what are all the components that are there. So as of now, I'm having only one component called employee content. So I'm actually taking this particular thing. So what is the bootstrap component? Bootstrap component is something like from where I should start. So which is the initial component that I should start it out. So that is the bootstrap component. So once we fill everything like, so this is a content like, so this is a module. So in the module we have referred the employee component. So the employee component have the modules, and that is something different. The next step, the final step we are going to is Okay, so the startup is the one who is actually referring the module library. So the module library will refer employee component. Employee component will refer the model. Okay, likewise it's keep going. So the idea is to bind the HTML and the model. Okay, again I'm going to. So like this. So in the startup, I'm just referring what are the platform browser parameters that we need, packages and module library. So everywhere I referring the one what I need over here, right? So here I'm referring the startup is referring the next step, that is next level, that is module library, right? So module library is actually referring component and component is referring employee, right? So likewise I'm selling, and also I'm telling the project like please start your thing, please start your project with the employee module library. So this is the library. With that library you should start it out. Okay, so likewise I'm done with that. Finally then in the master page, then you need to so so here I already mentioned, like, so for you to run Angular 2 in your system, in your project, you need sim and zone, reflect and system.js, right? So those are the things I'm just referring this particular packages, which is already installed. Okay, so then that's it. So that's what we have to do in the coding class, right? And then finally we are actually saying that, so you have to look at the startup page. Okay, you have to look at startup page. So the startup page is something which sits into the system.js. One second, before coming into that, I'm just seeing that if anything I have missed it. No, it covered everything. Okay, so finally this is the master page. We have to place all the content into this particular tag, right? So finally we are going to load this particular project by set a startup page only the master page. The master page is one is going to see by the user, right? So I'm going to right click, set up status page. Okay, same page, employee UA here, whatever the thing that we have already referred. So this particular component. So what the idea over here is like, one second. So in that particular body, I'm just created the employee UA. So once the system finds the employee UA, he will select this particular component. This component, once he selects this particular component, he will load this particular module. So this particular module will get the data, and also will get the controls from this particular URL. Okay, so this is how, like this, once it loaded, right, everything will be in the content. Okay, just cross check. Okay, fine. So it's done now. It's done. So okay. So now I'm going to build this particular project. Oh, I should not get any issues. Yes. Lots of changes we made. Hope we should not get any issues over here. Let me see. Yes. See, controls, right? So what are the controls that are there? It's actually written. Okay. See, so I'm just watching. I'm just looking this particular. What I'm typing the values into the UA. Okay, the employee name, employee code, and salary. Right. So these are all the input parameters I'm typing. At the same time, I'm just looking into this particular object. Okay. So these are all some. I'm just referring the JavaScript object. So whatever the content I'm typing over here, whatever the state is automatically updating into the object as well. So that's why the binding is actually happening over here, right? So you are actually working with the controls, HTML UI controls. Okay, okay. So as soon as you update the value in the control, the Angular who sits in the middle will find the data, find the changes in the controls, and automatically updating into the JavaScript object. Okay. So see here. Yeah, I forgot to explain this thing. So for that, actually you have to place ng model into your control in each and every control that you have. So we have employee name, employee code, and employee salary, right? So for that, each and everything we have to say like this is ng model, this is a employee object at employee name. So employee object at employee name is nothing that we can find it over here. See, these are the employee object. This is the employee. Okay, one second. My system is it's struggling. Yeah. So what actually means if you put close braces and the brackets, closing brackets and close braces and close brackets. So it means like if you put like this, so it means that you are actually doing a one-way binding. Okay. So whatever the changes that you in the control, you please update in this particular employee object or employee name. Okay. Likewise, so what for all the parameters that are the employee code and employee salary. So once you do that ng model is equal to employee object employee code, so it automatically get binded. Okay. So see here. So it's what I'm actually seeing only the JavaScript object. Okay. As soon as you type over here, okay, as soon as you type in that particular control, which automatically binded this particular JavaScript object. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So let me summarize you like how things are actually working. So as soon as this is a master page, right? It's a master page. Once this particular project gets loaded, okay, the first thing it will do is this will load all the packages like Sim.js, Jones.js, what are the packages actually required. It will get loaded. After that, it will look into the startup. It's called a startup in the system.js. It will look in the startup thing. So once you get into the system.js, like you can find it like where is the startup. Then again he will install or update the bundles whatever there for the Angular, right? For common platform, everything he will do that. Okay. After that, once he does all the things, then finally he comes into packages. Okay. Packages I can mention like please go to the binder startup.js. So this is the root point. Okay. So it find straight away it get to the startup.js. Okay. So start of the page we already mentioned like, so where is the module library? Okay, so this is my module library. Okay, so this is my bootstrap module. So I already mentioned you like, so module is the primary one. Module we having a multiple components. So automatically it finds the module library, then he gets into the module library. So once he start reading on compiler starts reading the module library, he will find the component. Okay, once he finds that component, he try to load all the components over there. Inside of it, he gets into the other modules components. Then he start reading that component. Then he finds the other model called employee. Then again he loads that particular employee model, okay, into this particular employee object. Now the link has been right. So let me, I will show you those things in the PPT. Okay, where I have mentioned. Oh, sorry, what is that? So see how we have created the project, folder structure, view model, install the packages using Node.js, component and decorators. Okay, then module system.js. So that's what we did. No? Yeah, that's what the code is actually like, as I mentioned overhead, the compiler will start looking the startup, which is shown into the master page. Okay, once in the startup thing is actually found that, it will trigger that particular module. Okay, so as is shown, right? One second, let me open the source code. Okay, okay. So let me, so once in the startup page, will find that particular module library, he will call the component. So that is third action. Okay, second action. See, he will, one module can have multiple components. As of now, we have only one component. So he loads the particular component. Once he load the component, he will be loading the models. Okay, this is the third step over here. After that, next step is, once the models are in place, he finds the UI and map it to the main page. Okay, so now the UI and the, sorry, the now the my master page and the model are mapped with the help of components and modules. So this is the outline actually. So again, I'm saying like, so everything will get started with the startup. Okay, once the startup is actually redirected to module, so the startup helps to find the module. Then with the help of module, we find the number of components are there. So once the number of components are already, we find the components, then we'll find the models which are there, and we'll straight away map this particular UA and the master page. So that's what I already told you, right? The component is actually one to six between the HTML UA and the JavaScript object. So the decorator, no? So the decorator we used to place only in the both the component. So it is actually kind of metadata telling that. So these are all the um, behavior of this particular class. So this can be used only for this particular purpose. So something like that. So in our case, we have mentioned no. So an add component, like add component. This is the template URL, and this is the tag where you have to attach this particular component. So for that, the decorator is actually worked. Okay. Yeah, so now we can see the complete flow of this particular thing. Like once the master page gets loaded, then system.js will get opened. Once the master page is open, system.js will get opened. Once the system.js is open, he will find the where the startup.js and everything. So he found the startup.js. So in the startup.js, we can find the what are the modules that are actually available. Once we find the modules which are available, we'll find the number of components inside that. So during that component iteration, he will bind the modules. Finally, he got the data to load. So that models will get passed with the UI. Okay. So then the master page will get the required data. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm taking extra 10 minutes. So it should actually complete it at 7 o'clock, but it's gone beyond 7:15. So this is what, so we just seen what is in Angular and what's new in Angular 2, what are the prerequisites um, we have to consider by doing Angular 2 development. So we saw the code walkthrough and everything, right? So I'm done actually. So if you have any such questions, you can ask. Hope you guys enjoyed my session. So in case if you have any questions, please write it to me. at rameshkartik@gmail.com. In case if I miss to provide any such concept, if you have any still have any doubts or anything, you can reach me out. Okay, I can help you sometime later. Okay, I hope I'm fine with the content whatever we have shared. Thank you so much for the time we have, and we'll definitely meet for other webinar and so on. Okay, so we have any questions? Okay, okay, thank you everyone. Yeah, please, if you have any questions, please reach me out.